Так, hi everyone again. Так, все видят?
Да.
Угу.
Угу.
Можно начать. Нет. Yeah, guys, today we will discussing an extensive topic called oligopoly. The term oligopoly is derived from the Greek words. Oligi means few and polein means to sell. Oligopoly is a market structure in which there are only a few sellers, but more than two of the homogeneous or differentiated products. Yeah. So oligopoly lies in between monopolistic competition and monopoly. And oligopoly is sometimes there are few sellers in the market, and every seller influences and is influenced by the behavior of other firms. And duopoly is a special case of oligopoly in which there are exactly two sellers. And today we'll discussing features of oligopoly, types of oligopoly, and models for models of oligopoly: Bernard model, Cornet, yeah, model, and Stolkberg, and the last one for Hamer model. And examples of oligopolies, for example, national mass media and news outlets like Walt Disney, Time Warner, Viacom, CBS, NBC, Universal, and News Corporation. And operating, for example, operating systems for smartphones and computers, Apple, Google, Android. Yeah, do you know about these companies exactly? And dominant smartphone operating systems, while computer operating systems like Apple and Windows. Всем слышно, ребята?
Да.
Да, связи все нормально, да? Ребята?
Да, все хорошо, все нормально слышно.
Да? Угу. И автомобиль manufacturing Ford, General Motors Company and Fiat, and the music entertainment industry is dominated by Universal Music Group, Sony, and Warner. Yeah, this is clear. Так, у меня запись идет, ребята, можете проверить? Recording там написано сверху?
Да, написано.
Окей, спасибо, thank you.
Извините, можете разрешить, там не могут зайти. Асима не может зайти.
Ага, сейчас.
Она, кажется, ждет.
Так. The first type of oligopoly, this is pure or perfect oligopoly. If the firms produce homogeneous products, then it's called pure or perfect oligopoly. And so it's seldom to find pure oligopoly situation. For example, there are cement, steel, aluminium, and chemicals producing industries approach pure oligopoly. And the second type of oligopoly is imperfect or differentiated oligopoly. If the firms produce differentiated products, then it's called imperfect, yeah? Imperfect oligopoly. For example, passenger cars, cigarettes, and soft drinks. And the goods produced by different firms have their own specific characteristics, yet all of them the close substitutes of each other. Всем понятно? It's clear? The first pure imperfect oligopoly. And the next one, cooperative oligopoly, sometimes is cooperative oligopoly called, sometimes collusive oligopoly. And this means if the firms cooperate with each other in determining price or output or both. It's called collusive oligopoly and cooperative oligopoly. Понятно, да? Зависит и от цены, и от продукции, выпуска продукции. The last one, non-cooperative oligopoly. This means if firms in oligopoly market compete with each other, it's called non-collusive, non-cooperative oligopoly. Понятно, да? Между ними конкуренция идет, между фирмами, которые входят в олигополию. Да? Ребята?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. And features of oligopoly, the first one is few firms. Under oligopoly, there are few large firms. The exact number of firms is not defined, and each firm produces a significant portion of the total output. Yeah, there exists several competition among different firms, and each firm tried to manipulate both prices and volume of production each other. Do you remember about several competition, guys?
Yes.
Who wants to who wants to understand several competition? Кто хочет ответить? Several competition, ребята. Не помню. The higher level competition, yeah? Острая конкуренция. Не помним, да?
You talk about imperfect competition?
Several competition. The higher level competition, когда острая конкуренция идет, когда снижают цены, когда все маркетинговые инструменты полностью фирма, между фирмами идет жесткая конкуренция. Хорошо? Окей?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. For example, the market of automobiles, yeah, in India is a oligopoly structure as only few producers and of automobiles. The number of firms is so small that action by one firm is likely to affect the other firms. And the second feature of oligopoly is interdependence. The firms under oligopoly are interdependent. Interdependent, that meaning that actions of one firms affect the actions of other firms. Есть слово independent, да, которое независимо, а здесь interdependence. Получается, между собой две фирмы, они взаимосвязаны.
Взаимозависимые.
Да, взаимосвязанные, взаимозависимые. Okay? For example, market for cars in India они выпускают такие виды, как вот эти фирмы выпускают такие виды, как машин, как Maruti, Tata, Hyundai, например, выпускают машины, и они между собой очень взаимосвязаны. A change by one firm, for example, Tata, affect to Hyundai, for example, Indica. Yeah. Okay. The next one, non-price competition. Under oligopoly, firms in position to influence the prices, and firms use other methods like advertising, better services to customers to compete with each other, and if a firm, one firm to reduce the price, also rigged by reducing the price, другая фирма, получается, моментально реагирует и то же самое снижает свои цены. Окей? And barriers to entry of firms. The main reason for few firms under oligopoly is barriers which prevent entry of new firms into the industry. For example, patents, requirement of large capital, control over critical raw materials, some of reasons, and which prevents new firms from entering into industry. Окей. Понятно? Разные виды, именно патенты, например, чтобы сложно было именно зайти фирмам в олигополию. Окей?
Окей.
Пятый вид, role of selling costs. Получается, вот мы говорили по предыдущим, жесткая конкуренция, плюс вот эта взаимозависимость, все это приводит именно к совершенствованию именно технологий, именно между компаниями, они соревнуются. Окей? Май?
Yes.
Due to severe competition and interdependence of the firms, various sales promotion technologies like promote sales of the product, advertisement, yeah, oligopoly. And for example, например, некоторым фирмам это кажется как жизнь и смерть, да? Между ними происходит очень сильная, жесткая конкуренция. Like Meta Life or this, yeah, advertising, promotion. Окей? Окей, так. Next. And group behavior, ну здесь понятно. Under oligopoly, there's complete among different firms, so price, output decisions of a particular firm influence the competing firms, and price, output, strategy между собой, получается, связаны, и они чувствуют именно поведение, да, других фирм. Окей? Clear? Nature of the product. Ребята, мы делили два вида. Помните, на прошлой неделе? Да, на прошлой неделе. Два вида продуктов. Все мы помним. Кто хочет ответить? Who wants to? Два вида продуктов.
Traditional and innovative.
Нет.
А,
Я только что до этого говорила. Two types of the product.
Homogeneous and different attitudes.
Да, вот. Это кто ответит? Дильназ, да?
Да.
Окей. Two types of product. Homogeneous products and differentiated products. The firms under oligopoly may produce homogeneous or differentiated product. Yeah? Okay. And the last one, indeterminate demand curve. Yeah? Under oligopoly, the exact behavior pattern of producer cannot be determined with certainty. Здесь получается, ребята, в олигополе очень сложно на самом деле именно влиять на спрос и предложение. Это всегда бывает неопределенности. As firms are interdependent, a firm cannot ignore the reaction of the other firms. И это на самом деле влияет к неопределенности. Понятно, да? Или непонятно последнее?
Немножко
Нет, последнее, что непонятно было.
Получается, вот олигополия, если две фирмы, они хоть друг другу влияют, но на самом деле на спрос и на предложение они не смогут повлиять, так как рынок, он сам по себе очень неопределенный. Окей?
Окей.
А можно на примерах, пожалуйста? На примере.
На примере?
Угу.
Сейчас. Так.
Извините, вы можете разрешить там девочки, оказывается, вылетели. Эльвира там тоже вылетела. Просит опять, чтобы разрешили.
Кто такая Аруна?
Это не Аруна, это Алтнайна, скорее всего, имя не поменяла. Она тоже ждет.
Окей. Так. Вот здесь вот, да, остались interdominant demand core. Давайте я, ребята, здесь уточню. Просто я что-то сама запуталась. Хорошо? И вам напишу про это.
Хорошо.
Хорошо? Окей.
Хорошо.
Угу. Так, вот эти модели сейчас попозже будем. Сколько времени у нас осталось? Так.
Где-то 20 минут, да? Наверное?
Где-то 20 минут. Я хотела показать вам видео про более детальное такое, про олигополию. Давайте посмотрим, хорошо?
Давайте.
Let's watch a video about oligopoly so that you understand in detail, okay? Где-то ссылка была здесь. Здесь вот.
Oligopoly.
Всем слышно, да?
Oligopoly refers to a market dominated
Да.
by a few
Да.
large firms.
Слышно?
Oligopolists may have considerable power to fix prices and output.
Видео не видно.
Power
Видео не
is
видно.
concentrated in the hands of a few firms who can dominate a market to gain excessive supernormal profits. The degree of concentration in a market can be measured through concentration ratios. Here, the top 3 firms have a combined market share of 90%, making the market highly concentrated.
Нет, не видно. А как сделать, чтобы видно было? Знаете?
Заново включить, кажется, демонстрацию нужно. Это все закрыть и потом по новой включать, если не ошибаюсь так.
Я вот только что сделала вроде так. Да, я вот останавливаю, да, совместное использование. Демонстрация, да, экрана. А вот совместное использование звука компьютера, наверное, да? Экрана, активизировать демонстрацию. Все. Вот. Теперь?
Oligopolists are dependent on each other.
Все, да, нормально? Ага, окей.
Oligopoly. Oligopoly refers to a market dominated by a few large firms. Oligopolists may have considerable power to fix prices and output. Power is concentrated in the hands of a few firms, who can dominate a market to gain excessive supernormal profits. The degree of concentration in a market can be measured through concentration ratios. Here, the top 3 firms have a combined market share of 90%, making the market highly concentrated. Oligopolists are dependent on each other for their success or failure. They are interdependent, and action by one affects the others. Oligopolists may collude or compete with each other. Collusion means acting together for the mutual benefit of all firms. Collusion may be open, referred to as overt, or may be covert, which means agreements are reached in secret. Finally, coordination may be based on shared rules and understandings, referred to as either tacit collusion or concerted practice. For example, oligopolists may employ standardized and industry-wide pricing models, such as cost-plus pricing, which mean that any increase in general input costs translates into identical price increases, without the need for any overt and illegal price-fixing arrangement. If oligopolists do compete, then they clearly prefer non-price competition. Non-price competition includes special promotions, including offering gifts or running competitions. Offers, such as buy one, get one free. Competing on the quality of the product, its design, and its brand image. Competing on service levels, guarantees, and warranties. Oligopolists dominate the high street and include commercial banks and building societies, petrol retailing, cinema chains, and supermarkets. In all these cases, 4-firm concentration ratios are in excess of 75%.
Вы можете разрешить войти? Alt-Night что я опять выкинула, что ли?
Interdependence can be understood
Зашла, да?
by looking at the oligopolists'
Видно всем? Слышно?
Да, видно и слышно.
kinked demand curve. If a firm raises price, say from £10 to £12, rivals will not follow suit as they will gain an advantage by holding their price constant. Hence, the price-raising firm loses market share and loses revenue. Demand is relatively elastic. Reducing price may lead to retaliation, as rivals are forced to drop their price to maintain their market share. In this case, demand is relatively price inelastic. Revenue is maximized at price P. Profits are maximized when marginal cost equals marginal revenue and are also maximized at P. As marginal revenue falls at twice the rate of average revenue, the marginal revenue curve is split. Any change in costs does not alter the oligopolist's profit-maximizing position. Hence, price tends to stick at one price. The kinked demand curve illustrates the significance of interdependence, as well as explain the tendency for price stickiness. Game theory can also be used to explain the behavior of oligopolists. All games have rules and payoffs, and require players to have strategies to enable them to gain a positive payoff or avoid a loss. The Prisoner's Dilemma is a game that can provide insights into the behavior of oligopolists. In this game, 2 associates, Bill and Bob, have been arrested for a petty crime. They are placed in separate cells. The police officer conducting the interviews suspects them of a more serious offence, although the evidence of their guilt is weak. They are told that if they confess to the serious crime, they will each get 3 years in jail. However, if they deny this,
they will go to jail for 2 years for the lesser offence, of which there is strong evidence of their guilt. But, if one confesses and the other denies, the one who confesses will get just 1 year, but the one who denies will get 10 years in jail. The dilemma is clear. The least risky solution is to confess, because denying, and have your associate confess, gives the worst possible jail sentence. Both players predict the other will confess, hence they both confess. This is the dominant strategy. Confessing is also Nash equilibrium, named after the late Nobel Prize-winning economist John Nash. Nash equilibrium occurs when any change of decision by a player makes that player worse off, taking into account the action of the other. Once having confessed, prisoners will carry on confessing. If this is applied to a decision by firms, we can see that the interdependence of each firm forces it to make certain decisions. For example, airlines have to decide about how to compete and what prices to charge for their tickets. In theory, both raising and lowering price could make them better off. It all depends on what decision the other airline makes. If we assume there are just 2 airlines, Airline A and Airline B, they can either raise or lower their price. The dominant strategy will be to lower price to gain £45 million. If one raises price and the other lowers, the firm's raising price will lose market share and only achieve £10 million in profits. However, if they collude and promise not to cheat, they can both increase their prices together and maximize their joint profits at £100 million. Of course, this is where a regulator can enter the market to impose a fine on firms caught colluding. In this case, a 12% fine would be sufficient to provide a disincentive to collusion and to jointly raising price. Taking into account the fine, the net gain from colluding at £44 million would be less than from openly competing on price. Hence, regulators can exploit game theory to alter the behavior of firms to deter them from undertaking anti-competitive practices. The likelihood of colluding and acting against the interests of consumers can also be reduced by offering an incentive to a whistleblower. What is clear is that, as Adam Smith noted in the late 18th century, people of the same trade seldom meet together, even for merriment and diversion, but the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public or in some contrivance to raise prices. Modern economic theories shed much light on such price-fixing behavior, as well as provide regulators with a toolkit of concepts and strategies to enable them to understand it and deal with it.
To see more videos, go to www.economicsonline.co.uk.
Так, я вам отправлю это видео, да? Еще раз посмотрите.
Хорошо.
Вот мы, помните, практическое задание я вам давала модели Корна, да? Корна модель и Бертранд. У кого были эти задания? Чем отличаются? What's the difference these models? Со связью, да, проблемы? Ребята, guys.
Вас слышно? Слышно, только не ставили
Очень лагает сильно, извините,
Да.
сильно лагает. Даже видео очень там с отрывками вот так смотрели.
Ага. Это из-за чего, интересно? Вроде интернет нормальный у меня. Не могу понять. У всех, да, получается?
Мне тоже что-то вот... Да, что-то
Я думала, это у меня только, потому что...
Да, у меня тоже вот отрывками я даже голос девочек слышу неправильно, как-то они одно слово и другое съедается.
Да? Хорошо тогда. Ребята, давайте тогда отключимся и где-то 10-15 минут перерывчик, break, окей? И потом еще раз подключимся.
Хорошо.
Хорошо?
Это уже семинар будет или как?
Ау?
Это лекция будет или семинар будет?
Это уже семинар.
Хорошо.
Хорошо? Окей. Я вам отправлю приглашение всем. Еще раз обновлю.